Welcome to the Run It Back podcast, episode 14. We've slipped nicely into, this is our monthly pay-per-view prediction podcast. We have all the boys on today except for one. We'll get to that shortly. Coming to you from UFC247, Jones versus Reyes from Houston, Texas. As I said, sadly we're one down today. Suga Snags succumbed to injury today. Yesterday, actually. So we thought the boy would get up. He was really positive with messages to the group before the podcast. Said all systems goes, boys. Unfortunately, during the day, checked my phone and I had a little voicemail pop up.
Hello, your call cannot be taken at the moment, so please leave your message after the tone.
End of message.
Oh, poor Snags. He is in a world of pain. Anyway, best wishes to Snags. The two other boys are here with us. Stoney, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, DL. And honestly, it's probably not a bad thing he's not here. If the group message is anything to go by, all he'd do is complain. For a slight calf strain, this is next level carry on. And for someone who's a 4-stripe white belt, he should have more resilience, quite frankly.
Yeah, I was a bit concerned about that part myself. Statman's on the line as well, dialing in from a hotel room. Statman, how are you?
Well, I'm doing well. I was with Snags yesterday, and I'm not going to say that I somehow helped his injury along or anything like that. But if you think about it, I've gone from 25% of the podcast to 33% of the podcast. I'm pretty okay with that.
Oh, you've been promoted. Well done, mate. Good job. Boys, look, we're going to get straight into it. We just want to recap quickly. There was a little bit of an issue, a hot topic in our group chat just after we finished our recap podcast for UFC 246. We got a little bit of feedback online as well, following up with a lot of tweets and things like that. Come across the little doozy after the UFC 246 wrapped up. Everyone's going to know what this is about. This is the Joe Rogan and Stephen A. Smith. Let's just hear it quickly.
Regain where he used to be, when he was hungry, when he was desperate. And that's why he fought so intensely tonight.
This is tough for me because here I'm standing next to a legend, okay? And far be it for me to refute anything that Joe Rogan says, but here's my reality. We haven't learned a damn thing about Conor McGregor based off of this fight.
Really?
Because who were you? Listen, the man did not get hit other than one kick to the arm. That's it. I mean, he didn't. Listen, I have gotten hit that much in the last week, okay? And I don't fight. I mean, come on, y'all. The fact of the matter is we don't know, and we know that Conor McGregor is a champion. We know he's a great fighter. We know that he's box office. He's phenomenal for the sport. We're all happy he won. If you love this sport, you got to be happy that Conor McGregor won. But you didn't learn anything from tonight's fight because Cowboy Cerrone just didn't show up. I could have ran for 40 seconds.
I disagree. We learned he rises to the occasion. We learned he could put Cowboy away. We learned that he can land a head kick. We learned that he could beat him down. We learned that this guy performs when the lights are on him.
And Joe fights a really good case at the end there. But the backlash was insane. There was memes, there was video clips. It was endless. It was a great little story to follow. And Stephen A. went for a little private in a room by himself. Emotional Stephen A. explained to him what he was talking about and didn't hit any of the points anyone was giving him criticism on. How do you see it, Craig?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that he latched onto the one defensible position that he had in his initial outburst, which was that, hey, we didn't really see Conor McGregor too much in the fight. Yet, granted, we only got like less than a minute of Conor McGregor action, but he didn't try and defend the disrespect he showed to Cowboy Cerrone. And Cowboy's like a guy who has over 50 fights. Like he take like my stat was about him taking fights, 2 lots of fights, separate times on less than a fortnight. Like the dude comes to fight and to say, frankly, disrespectful things about him.
Yeah.
And what my favorite thing was, he brought out this video and he was getting some pats on the back. And then Conor McGregor came out and said, hey, listen, you owe Donald Cerrone an apology. And Stephen A. Smith in the comment section, it was just I'm so humbled to the great Conor McGregor is talking. It was kind of a pathetic display, in my opinion, from Stephen A. Smith, who should know better.
He should. And look, I like Stephen A. Smith. I actually enjoy a lot of the stuff that he does on basketball and NFL and things like that. Yeah, look, sometimes I agree with him, but I just think he was a little bit out of his depth there and should have defaulted to Joe on those situations. I know Stoney didn't look into it too much, but just hearing that back, what was your initial thoughts on that?
Look, I tend to agree with the two of you. The one part of Stephen A. Smith's commentary that he said in a different part was he doesn't need a detailed background in the sport to be able to call what he sees. And to a degree, I agree with that. But certainly the substance of his argument in that little space is relatively weak. So I'm all in with you, boys.
Okay, boys, we're going to push quickly on to a quick recap of the results from UFC 246. The leaderboard I'm talking about from UFC 246. So myself, I got just the 2 on the night. Obviously, the card shrunk down to 4. Suga Snags got the 3 on the board. Stoney got the 3 as well. And Craigos, the stat man, got 4.
Craigos.
Well done, Craig.
You would think that I'm happy about 4. You would think.
You would think.
You would think.
So this brings me to my next point. And welcome to the first episode of Run It Back Court. Craig.
Yeah, mate.
Was this you?
For my pick, Conor McGregor, I'm taking TKO late round 1.
Was that you?
Yeah, that was me.
Late round 1?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought we were picking round and finish. I thought it was going to be that I'd said KO and that you were going for a TKO finish. Nah, no, this is even more bullshit.
I'm pulling the bonus point on that late comment.
DL, okay, how about this? For the remainder of the podcast, for as long as you guys keep me on, I will be as vague as humanly possible to get as many points as possible. I believe the fight will end. How's that? How's that for understanding?
Well, Suga Snags built his whole reputation on being vague, so...
One of 2 people could win. I remember that one well.
Yeah, that was a classic. Nah, Craig, look, I'm only having a land, mate. You'll get that bonus point and get the 5, mate. Well done.
Thank you.
On you, Craigos. You needed that one. You needed that one.
Did.
So what does that do for us overall, Darryl?
All right, so that still has me at 19. Still your current champ. Well done. Thank you. Sean Suga Snags is 18. Craig moves up to 10. And Stoney Statman's on 12. So
can we just prorata that down to the events that Craig and I are involved?
Yeah, that's it.
No.
Oh, no, it's not. No, sorry. Look, that'll be... I'd need to do some quick maths because I chucked
13 for Daniel.
13. Thanks, Craig.
11 for Sean.
13, 11. Writing these down so I've got some reference points.
12 for... it's 10 for me.
Yep.
And 12 for Stoney.
Oh, that's right. I remember that from last time.
So the order hasn't changed, but we've dragged DL back a little bit.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm happy with that. 13. Yep, Suga Snags in a little bit of trouble. So let's carry on. Anyway, the card 247 Jones versus Reyes from Houston, Texas. Statman, want to kick off our main card with this heavyweight fight?
Absolutely. So first card. Unusual to start a card with a heavyweight banger, especially with someone as marketable as Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis fighting Ilia Latifi. So my stat today for this fight, Derek Lewis's last opponent, Blagoy Ivanov, has a history with Derek Lewis's current opponent. So Ilia Latifi had his very first professional fight against Blagoy Ivanov, who was 2-0 at the time. The fight ended in just 55 seconds after Latifi tackled Ivanov into one of the ring posts and the ring broke.
Wow, that's good.
It's literally a no contest broken ring.
Wow.
They should have just let that play on, shouldn't they?
They should have.
I reckon.
Just
Joe Rogan would have got his basketball court.
Yeah, he would have. That's crazy. That's so good. And Craig, who are you taking in this fight?
It was kind of a hard choice for me. Lewis's last 5 fights, he's been finished twice. He had a terrifyingly close fight with Blago Ivanov. He got a victory in the took a jaws of defeat knockout win in the last 10 seconds of a fight against Alexander Volkov that he was losing badly. And the other fight in that 5-fight run was the terrible Francis Ngannou fight. I still think that he takes care of Ilir Latifi. A tiny, height-wise, light heavyweight moving up to heavyweight. I think that Derek Lewis should have it square, but Lewis's current form has left a fair bit to be desired.
Yeah, I have to agree. Stoney, what do you got? Thanks, Craig.
Look, I'm not a fan of the Black Beast. I know he's got a good cult following and everything. He's just never really struck a chord with me. That said, Latifi was getting KO'd at light heavyweight and he was a relatively small 205-pounder. Lewis is one of the biggest heavyweights and has massive power. Look, I can't see this ending any other way than another KO win for Derek Lewis. But, yeah, he's not growing on me. I agree with Craig. He's been a bit lackluster.
Yeah, right. So, I've got... Me and Snags are the same here, so it's going to be quite easy. We've both got Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis, the best follow on IG I've ever had. He puts up the best little clips that make me laugh all the time. His form is to desire. Like it is something that's really, you got to really struggle with, but he's got so much power. You know, when he does turn it on, he's pretty good. So I'm hoping he's going to have, kicking off that card, I'm hoping he'll bring something big. Featherweight fight.
Mirsad Bektic is fighting Dan Ige in featherweight. Guys, cast your mind back. It's April 2019. Early hours of the morning, and there's a knock on Dan Ige's door. He opens it up, and there's some people from the lad. They want to take some of his blood. Thinking they were USADA, he let them in and take 4 vials of his blood before they went to sign the document, and they realized that A, the people weren't USADA, and B, he was not the man that they were there to take blood from. They awkwardly were asked to leave from Dan Ige, who said he was furious, but they were so nice that he was trying not to blow up. And they left, and they took his blood, and he doesn't know who they were.
Oh my God, that's so weird.
Yeah. So yeah, somewhere out there, Dan Ige's blood. I think the guy's name was like James that they were looking for, and they were like, at the end of it, he's like, sometimes USADA come in and get you to sign first or at the end, and he's like, oh, it's fine, it's early morning, and yeah, no, I'm sure he's checking some credentials every time he gives his blood now.
It's actually a real funny one. Chael Sonnen tells a great story how after a fight he got dragged into a little janitor's closet and he asked for identification and the USADA rep said, we don't have to provide anything. So it has been a point of confusion where fighters have been a little bit unsure who they're actually giving samples to. So poor old Ige, yeah, it's a tough spot.
Wow, that's a scary world. Scary world. And Craig, who do you like for the fight?
Honestly, guys, a bit of we've just done our 2020 prediction pod. I'm happy to chuck out one for 2021. I think Mirsad Bektic will be a title challenger before December 2021. He dominated Darren Elkins until the last minute of the fight. Darren Elkins, obviously comeback king. He soundly beat Ricardo Lamas despite whatever the split decision might have you believe. I think that Mirsad Bektic should take this, although Dan Ige is a fantastic prospect. He's 4th straight in the UFC, but I've got Mirsad Bektic taking this one.
Cool. Thanks, Craig. Stoney, what do you got?
I think there's value on Ige as the underdog. He's, in my opinion, the more tactical fighter, and I think this goes to a decision. And just to be different to Craig, I'm going to go with Ige.
Yeah, I've actually gone Ige as well. Didn't do a lot of research on these two fighters. You know, I think as well as what usually happens with me, I usually go on something that I'm usually backing on my multi. So Ige's my thing. Suga Snags has gone Bertek as well, the same as Craig. That's really cool. We've got a split room. So it moves us into our third fight, Kragos.
Juan Adams is taking on Justin Tuffer. So Justin Tuffer, he might be an actual hometown hero. So his first 3 fights in professional MMA all took place in Brisbane, Australia, where he hails from. 3 big-time knockouts, and his first fight not in the Sunshine State was down in Melbourne, where we were down there, and he got knocked out in the first round. He's facing a hometown hero in his own right, Juan Adams, Houston, Texas. It'll be the 4th fight in his home state and his 3rd fight in front of his home city. So we'll see how that plays out.
And who have you got for the fight, mate?
Honestly, truth be told, I haven't actually seen Juan Adams fight. He's got a few UFC fights under his belt now. I can't recall seeing them. But I understand he has won at least one fight in the UFC. And after seeing Justin Tafa versus Jorgen De Castro in Melbourne, I firmly believe that anyone with a win in the UFC should be able to take care of him. Tafa is built like a truck, kind of built like a miniature Mark Hunt. No doubt he hits out hard, but punches are wild, gas tank is suspect. And what we've seen of his chin, wouldn't be surprised if we saw another quick night for Justin Tafa and not in the way that he might hope.
That makes me sad, but Stoney.
Yeah, I'm the same. Juan Adams is a quality investment here. He's far taller. He's got a lot more reach. Not to mention he's more experienced. He's got the wrestling. I think he wins his fight everywhere it goes. So are we doing rounds this early? No. Okay. Adams is my tip for this one.
Okay, cool. Me and Sugar have both gone with Justin Tafa. The way I come to Justin Tafa is I felt like I needed to ignore that Melbourne fight, so I went back and had a look at the 3 previous fights. Pretty convincing. He does have a lot of knockout power. I'm hoping that loss has really humbled him and made him work a little bit harder in the gym. That strength is going to come back and he might just glance a little bit of Adams's chin. And good night, son.
How are you feeling about that one, Craig? I'm pretty happy that we've gone head-to-head with him on this one.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. There's a picture of Juan Adams next to Tyron Woodley. And you get Tyron Woodley, he's a big welterweight. You get a picture of who Juan Adams is. He's 6'5". He's cutting weight to make heavyweight. He's a big motherfucker. And Justin Tafa, I think we saw what kind of fighter he was in Melbourne. Head down, swing for the fences, and then right before the uppercut, lift your chin right in the air and go out.
Got me scared, boys.
Look, I think everything's going Adams' way, barring total collapse on his part or some insane rapid improvement on Tafa. I see this one as a dominant performance. So let's see how it goes.
And boys, I think it's that time.
Breaking news with Stoney.
What do you got, mate?
What a month it has been for breaking news with Stoney. Let's just, Craig, I'm going to steal Craig's stats. I want to combine them with breaking news with Stoney for just a second. Here's a stat for you. 100% the amount of stories broken by breaking news with Stoney in the past month that have beaten the likes of Ariel Helwani, Brett Okamoto. We're on a roll, boys. We announced Cejudo and Aldo an entire day before the UFC released the story. We broke Woodley and Edwards 10 hours before anybody else had the courage to even post that. Cannonier as a replacement to face Till long before any of the mainstream journos went near that. Usman, Masvidal, the list goes on. Brett Okamoto, Mr. 10 hours late, as he's referred to in the industry, is supposed to be reporting current events, not ancient history. He's got 130,000 followers. Who obviously enjoy staying up to date with yesterday's news. Now, in terms of tonight's episode, breaking news with Stoney, our good friends at Bellator, Scott Coker, DL, we have no beef with Scott, do we?
No, we got no beef with Scott.
Good, because we're nothing but praise for the Bellator crew tonight. They've just recently signed Wyatt Barber to a 5-fight deal. Wyatt, of course, being the younger brother of DL's favourite bantamweight Macy.
Ooh.
I'm more of a Roxy fan myself, but all affiliations aside, this is big for Bellator. They've just added another blue chip prospect to their roster, and I, for one, will be watching with interest to see how this goes.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know that news. That's why you're the man. That's why you're breaking these news stories.
I need to know, who are your sources?
Oh, he's tight-lipped.
Scott Coker actually announced this one today.
That's why we got no beef with Scotty.
That's a huge signing for Scott Coker. Isn't he going to also sign Logan Paul? I'm pretty sure I saw news about that as well.
Look, there's sales to be made there. Dylan Dennis, a personal fave of the Run It Back crew. I'd be real down to see either of the brothers.
What is it, though? What kind of fight are they talking, though? Is it boxing?
Well, they're talking big games. So Dylan's saying either. I think Logan Paul's saying either. That might be a bit of a facade, but yeah, watch your space.
When UFC signs and promotes 2 CM Punk fights, I think you can cut Bellator a bit of slack for putting Logan Paul on.
Yeah, it's a weird setup.
I like what Bellator are doing. They're getting a few up and comers, and now similar, I guess, to Macy. Wyatt is very much unproven at this stage, but shows a lot of promise. So. I like what they're doing over there. They're assembling some nice young talent. I think they tried to go down the line of getting the sloppy seconds from the UFC for a period of time. So all the ones that had run their race at the UFC, now they're trying to create and develop their own stars. And obviously Pico got off to a rough start, but they're persisting down that line. So full credit to them. They're becoming a very interesting organisation to follow.
Didn't Pico look fantastic in his last fight as well?
Sensational.
It looked really good.
So good. So exciting to see him develop.
Well, let's kick into our co-main event, which is the flyweights.
So we got Valentina Shevchenko versus Caitlin Chookagian. And yeah, let's hit it. So Valentina Shevchenko's older sister Antonina is also a UFC fighter. Both guys have very impressive MMA and kickboxing record. I think Antonina is 39-1 in kickboxing, and the most up-to-date record I could find for Valentina Shevchenko was 56-2 in her kickboxing and Muay Thai record. So obviously very successful fighters. I wanted to try and find a UFC sibling combo that had a greater disparity in talent. And the one I settled on was Matt Serra and Nick Serra. So Matt Serra, obviously, TKO GSP, UFC 69, won the UFC welterweight title. And yes, Stoney, I did say welterweight. He also entered the UFC Hall of Fame in 2018, which, I mean, let's be honest, as far as the sport goes, that's a pretty solid record. Nick had one fight in the UFC, 0-1 at UFC 37.5. And his last professional MMA fight, he lost due to disqualification. And the official reason for the disqualification is that he refused to stand up from a butt scoot, despite being asked repeatedly by the referee.
Oh wow, it's unfortunate.
So Nick Serra's jiu-jitsu is pretty impressive. Obviously, that's Matt Serra's forte as well. But when you're sitting on your ass and your opponent wants you to stand and you just keep on sitting, you're going to get disqualified.
Yeah, I think so. Good call, ref. Good call. Craig, who have you got for the fight?
As long as I just took with that stat, I'm not going to waste anyone's time.
Don't be conscious of it, my friend.
I think this is a foregone conclusion, and I'm taking Valentina Shevchenko by decision.
Cool. Got that vagueness. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
No worries. I was going to go Vega, but that's it.
I appreciate it. Stoney, what do you got?
Yeah, look, it's not one you can really go into too much detail. I think it's a very one-sided fight, Valentina. Chuka's a decision machine. Valentina's had 5 main event spots. 4 went to a decision. Currently $1.83 on Betfair for the fight to go to a decision. So I think that's a fairly safe bet. I'm going to throw it out there. Is there a chance if I went for an absolute roughie and got it and went chook by submission, is there a double point on offer, or are we not entertaining that?
No, we're not entertaining that.
Okay. Valentina by decision.
And we're on the sports bet. What's his Betfair business? You know, we've got to look after the sponsors there, mate. Sports bet. Still waiting for that call. So again, I feel like Sugar's really stolen my tips here, but we've both gone Valentina. Sugar's gone the TKO round 3.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone the KO TKO head kick round 1, and
last head kick. Ooh.
And I want that as my bonus point if I get it. If it's not a head kick, I'll forfeit my bonus point.
That's a big call. That's respectful. Yeah, does lightning strike twice? Are we doing 2 head kicks for Valentina? That was her last fight.
It was her last fight.
She had a decision with Liz Carmouche.
That's right.
More recently,
that's right.
Good work.
That's right. Research I did for this, I decided to watch her Muay Thai fights just to have a look at some of the opponents that she faced and how she went about that. She's still doing the same things. Spinning back, got that spinning back fist. usually connecting with her elbow or her forearm, which is fantastic to watch. She's still doing that spinning kick into the body. Mm-hmm. There was a Muay Thai fight. She sent the chick flying. It was sensational. It ended the fight, and she's still doing that Superman punch. Mm. So
her first 5 fights she won by submission. So 5 of her first 7 fights she won by submission, which is kind of crazy, including an Ezekiel choke, which is just she's not a submission fighter. She's a Muay Thai fighter.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Freakishly good in the Muay Thai department.
She's just all round, and her fight IQ is. I'm struggling to think of someone who I respect their fight IQ more. She is just a very talented individual.
All right, boys, this brings us on to the big one.
It's time!
You know, it's always good to see John Jones fight. I always get excited for him. It's kind of like a baby brother to Conor McGregor, the week leading into a Conor McGregor card and the week leading into John Jones. They feel kind of similar, just at different levels. John Jones is defending his light heavyweight title against Dominic Reyes. Guys, I'm going to do something a little bit unusual. My stat is going to directly link into my pick, so just pay attention. Okay. John Jones's most dominant wins: Lyoto Machida, 6'1", 74-inch reach, 8 years ago. Shogun Rua, 6'1", 76-inch reach, 8 years ago. Chael Sonnen, 6'1", 73-inch reach, 7 years ago. John Jones's least impressive performances: Alexander Gustafsson, 6'5", 79-inch reach, 6 years ago. Ovin St. Preux, 6'4", 80-inch reach, 3 years ago. And Thiago Santos, 6'2", 77-inch reach, 7 months ago. Let me introduce you to Dominic Reyes, 6'4", 77-inch reach, 12-0 with 9 finishes. A southpaw that Jones does not enjoy fighting those. I see Dominic Reyes eking out a close decision victory. Whoa. Similar fight to Santos, just without the injury.
Damn.
I'm staggered.
Yeah. I'm still trying to work out those numbers. That's ridiculous, mate.
And I'm partly offended that you listed Chael Sonnen as one of the most dominant victories John Jones has ever had. I was actually at that fight. And
he tossed him on his head, man. He just beat the shit out of him. Just because Jones's toe was hanging on by a thread at the end of it, he broke his toe beating the shit out of Chael Sonnen.
That's not how I recall it. So he's 25-1. 25-1.
Alert.
Yeah.
And that loss is debatable, and everyone's going to cry Matt Hamill. There's only one person who's ever caused any serious harm to John Jones, and that is Chael Sonnen. He walked into the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, like a gangster, ripped off John Jones's toe, left the building. Jones got carted on a stretcher. Now you tell me who won that fight, Craig.
Do you forget Vitor Belfort? Nearly broke Jones's arm. Got destroyed.
Nelly. We don't deal with Nellies.
Out of his face.
Anyway, moving on.
Tony,
so that's my prediction. Dominic Reyes. I had Dominic Reyes in my 2020 light heavyweight champion by end of year. Yep. I think he's going to do it in February.
All right, cool. Thanks, Craig. Sorry, Craig, what was the finish again?
Decision.
Thank you, Stoney.
John Jones submitted Ryan Bader 9 years ago yesterday to set up his first title shot. Every fight since then has been for a title. Dominic Reyes looks too goofy to be the champion of anything. How's that for a detailed breakdown?
That's a good stat.
I saw a post on MMA Twitter, and shout out to the Underground, and it read that John Jones may be in serious trouble. Dominic Reyes brings something that John has never seen before. And then Dom followed up with a post about how he's too athletic for John Jones. Dom, let me tell you something. All that high school varsity baseball experience isn't going to mean shit when the cage door closes. This is going to be a one-sided beatdown. John Jones by stoppage, round 2. DL.
Damn. I like it. So John Jones for me and for Suga Snags. And I've gone for a decision where Snags has gone the TKO round 2. There's a part of me that doesn't think this is going to go 5 rounds, but I've got a feeling that Jones will love it to go 5 rounds. I think Reyes thinking the same, so they've got the same mentality around. They want to make it a bit of a war and want to stretch it out as much as they can. So, but boys, instead of breaking down that any further, I'm going to post a question. what are you more excited about if Jones wins this fight? Are you excited for a Jones-Stipe match or a Jones-Israel match? Stoney.
Jones-Israel. There's no vibe whatsoever between the Jones-Stipe. I'm going to sleep just thinking about it. But Izzy brings a lot of hype and justified hype. But he brings a lot to that matchup, and I'd love to see it in 2020. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Izzy's already called 2021 as the year he goes up. I just feel that this could be similar to the age-old GSP Anderson Silva, where the timing was just never right. I get the feeling we may not see that, and it's going to be a massive loss if we don't. But boy, I'm excited to see that if we ever do.
Statman?
Of the two fights, definitely, I think I'd prefer to see Israel Adesanya versus John Jones. I think the similarities between the two can't be overstated. And also, obviously, the trash talk between them is golden, and at least you can understand both of them. Stipe Miocic sounds like he's chewing cement whenever he gives an interview. I'd love to chuck a third option in.
Yeah, sure.
It's my dream fight for John Jones, Francis Ngannou. I want Francis Ngannou to be John Jones' first heavyweight fight.
I'd absolutely rather it. That scares me though.
It's Francis Ngannou is. The fight with Stipe Miocic, that first round is probably the tensest I've ever been watching a fight. Yeah, I rewatch it. I know the outcome, and I'm still like, it's like you're about to watch like a you know those videos of like the African safari where there's like deer drinking by the water and there's some fucking crocodile creeping towards them. That's what it's like watching Francis Ngannou fight.
It nearly feels like what Izzy did with the Yoel call out.
Yeah.
It's, guys, no one wants to fight Yoel Romero. I'm going to call him out. I'm going to get this fight. I'm going to do it. That'd be kind of similar if Jones says, I'll take Ngannou.
Oh, geez, that's a scary fight. I don't think anyone wants Ngannou, and DC summed it up well when they offered that because Stipe's injured, and they said, how about Ngannou? And he said, hell no, like, no one wants that. And I think John Jones is very much in the same boat. I don't think Jones moves to heavyweight if the fight on the tables. Francis, I can't see it happening.
He's got literally life-changing power in his hands.
Yeah. Ask Alistair Overeem. It's ridiculous.
Oh, fuck.
Anyway, boys, that rounds out UFC 247. Best wishes to Suga Snags. I know we're having a bit of a lend on him, but he is actually in a fair bit of pain and was on some pretty heavy medication before the podcast, so we decided for him to rest instead of jump online. But anyway, that wraps us up. Prediction podcast, UFC 247 from Texas. If you like what we're doing, please hit us up on all our socials. Also,
we're on Twitter now.
We're on Twitter. All the boys are on Twitter, which is good. Just go to our normal Twitter at Run It Back Podcast. We'll put the links up on the feed when we push this out. Like always, send us your DMs, suggestions. We love it. And we love hearing from the fans out there. And we really appreciate the support that we're getting so far. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Really helps us build the right content. So anyway, thanks for having us, guys. My name is Daniel.
My name is Craig.
My name is Stoney.
And you'll catch us next on the Run It Back Podcast. See you guys.